Welcome to Old Castle Cottage's July Garden Tour. Come join me today to see what is blooming, what has survived our heat and rain, and what my plans are for fall. So come on, let's start right here in my main cottage garden. I'll start with my favorite hydrangea, new to me last year. It is the Let's Dance Skyview by Proven Winner Color Choice. I just love the amount of blooms that it has on it, and the color. It is going to either be pink or blue depending on the pH of your soil, but it is bred to have multiple blooms, so it just gives you such a big bang for your buck. So here we have Firelight Tidbit. She is sagging a little from all the rain we've had, but you can see she's starting to put on some color, and will put on more color as the season progresses. Here behind her is Raspberry Truffle Echinacea, and behind her is Olivia Rose Hedge. Here are Summer Beauty Alliums, and you can see they're the first to bloom in my garden for a summer allium. The pollinators just love it. It's a lighter purple than the millennial, so it gives you a little bit a different color. Behind that is Firelight Tidbit, and then we have still some foxglove coming in, and we have Echinacea, and behind that Strawberry Vanilla Hydrangea. There should be color right here where I'm focused, and you can see there's not. There is phlox here that the bunnies have eaten, and there's pink and white phlox that they ate the tips off of. We should have color in the fall because they are blooming on its the side shoots, but my mistake, I did not plant spray while I was gone for 3 weeks, and I am now paying the price on color for the garden and for this tour because I want to teach you about succession planting. And then here's another opportunity in the garden. This is Gentle Harmony by David Austin. And right now she's my only rose in the garden that is struggling with black spot. She has plenty of airflow, so it's not the airflow. And I've sprayed her with Rose X. I do now need to get in there and cut the leaves off and rake up the leaves so it does not spread to my other roses. Oh, and as a reminder, clean your rose prune shears, because if you go in there and you're deadheading, you can spread that black spot to your other roses. Okay, now we're over here by the Incredible hydrangeas, and I just want to show you, I have 4 of them here, but the difference, this one gets more sun, so you can see it's larger than the one that gets mostly shade, but it can handle a little bit of shade. It just won't get as big and it won't get as many flowers. The other thing is the Incredibles by Proven Winner's Color Choice are bred to be stronger stems. And you can see they're not droopy, they're holding their shape, and that is just an asset for the smooth hydrangea Incredible. You can see this is new flower, but this is one that will get this darker color. This means you can go in and start to cut these, and they will make beautiful cutting arrangements. We'll talk more about the difference between Incredible and Annabelle later in the tour. I'm going to start here with the center planter. It is doing very well with all the rain. I do fertilize with Proven Winner's water soluble fertilizer, and what I really like about it this year, you have some Angelonia from Proven Winners in it, but is the pink Picotee Gara. It just is so pretty, and I like how it just moves in the wind like butterflies, and the pollinators like it. Over here is a rose, though, I am going to show you. It is Frances Myland from Grace Rose Farm. And look at the pollinators on Frances. They love it just as much as I do. And no tour would be complete without my Olivia Rose. And I'm going to talk about her every tour because she started out as my first rose and has quickly become my favorite shrub rose, and I will explain why. One, she's so pretty. Two, if you look at the leaves compared to the other roses, she doesn't show any signs of distress. She gets on the bigger side, so keep in mind that. But I think every garden should have Olivia if you want to have a rose in your garden. Now, we do have dahlias starting to bloom, so any day now we'll have some dahlias, and we have a random straw flower that's self-seeded from last year. I did not plant them this year. For all of you asking, all of my boxwoods on the property, in the parterre here, and when we go up front, are all green velvet boxwoods. They are disease resistant for me. They do very well, and you can trim them to the shape you want. So the parterre in the hedge and here in the spheres. Now we'll talk about these hydrangeas here. These are Annabelle. So if you go to a nursery and you say you want a smooth hydrangea, big white flower, or you say Annabelle, you will get the Annabelle. And she's lovely and she's very pretty, but as soon as she gets rain, she goes down, and you'll see we have her tied up here. So if you want the same look but you don't want the saggy, I would suggest you ask for a Incredible. And then over here we have the millennial alliums. Again, you can see they're planted in mass, not quite in full bloom yet, but doing very well. Silas Mariner is starting to put on its second flush. As we're walking by, I get a lot of questions on this tree. It's a hemlock, and I do just have hostas and astobe underneath it because it does get shade. We'll head over here and we'll start. I've added 3 more of the Let's Dance Skyview, and I'm ordering 3 more, so it'll circle around here. But this is where the bunnies also did damage. These are phlox, and it should be a beautiful pink all in here filled with phlox, and I have no color. And I hesitated about doing the tour because of what the weather and the rabbits did, but I wanted you to see that this is gardening and it happens to all of us, and you just move on. These phlox will have side shoots, and I will have some blooms probably later in the fall. And no tour would be complete with my brand new architectural birdhouse, and the birds have found it a home. But there are some things that are blooming in here. We have foxgloves still with a little bloom, and the powwow echinacea as we head over here to the shade garden. So this whole area used to be shade. And I'm going to stop right here because the trees that we took out because they were dead now have caused this section to be sun, and it doesn't turn shade till we get back down under the canopy of this tree. So I have moved everything that I can, and we're going to reconfigure this in the fall for hydrangeas that can handle some sun. So Let's Dance Skyview will be in there. I put a Pinky Winky in there, so Incredibles will be in there. This is a limelight I've had in here, but this is the area we're going to be working on in fall. Over here though, in the shade garden, we have some plants that do well all season long. You'll see Brunnera in the spring tour with the pretty blue flowers, but it has such great foliage that it really looks nice in the garden and it brightens it up. So you have the white of the limelight, you have the white on the hosta, the variegation on the Brunnera, the variegation and the color on the dead needle, and then we have an oak leaf hydrangea, and back in that corner where it gets a little bit of sun is a white yarrow. Okay, we started in the back, but we are in the front, so welcome to the front of Old Castle Cottage, and I'll take you through the entrance and the welcome garden coming into the cottage. You'll see in the welcome garden that we have a lot of similar plants throughout the house in the gardens that we already saw. So we have our millennial allium, our firelight tidbit, our pink picketigora. We have peonies in here that you saw on the spring tour. We have some Walker's low nepeta that's still in bloom. More of the coneflower that is in bloom. And again, I've mentioned we have a standard rose olivia, and she is in bloom again. And beneath her are more of the millennial allium. So millennial allium for summer bloom, blue salvia for spring, and then we get both color on the standard. We have a buddleia as we go up. Again, I mentioned all the boxwoods are green velvet. But these are mini lime. Now, I didn't cut them back as far as I should have last year, and we will do a harder prune this year. But it's very important when you're buying your hydrangeas, especially your panicle, you look at the size. In my consultations, I'm getting so many people that are buying the limelight, which you saw in the back. It's a tree size, and they want it to be in front of their house, and they're having to dig them out. They do transfer well, but I would suggest always looking at the tags for size. And again, these will put on a darker pink. They're starting very ever so slightly to get their color here. And then over here are the rose standards that I received from Jackson and Perkins. They were bare root this year. It had its first flush not that long ago, and I am assuming later in fall we will get a second flush. This bed used to be Pachysandra, and I have dug out all the Pachysandra this year, and I've planted a repetition of hydrangea, green velvet, and more of the tidbit as we go to where it is 100% shade. And I have some coneflower, and I have more brunnera and astilbe. And I'm going to take out more of this Pachysandra eventually. It's a project, probably won't be this year, because I've been bitten by a lot of ticks, and they do like to hide in Pachysandra. And as I head over here, now we're at the front of the side patio, and I don't show this area often, but that is the view going into the back of the garden. But I wanted to show you the shade planters, and they're doing very well. But I get a lot of questions on the centerpiece of these containers, and it is a Rex begonia. And what I love about the Rex begonia is it can be brought in and used as a house plant. So I get a double bang for my buck. And now that my husband's retired, my annual budget is been cut. I've been very conservative this year on the amount of annuals that we are using. And again, while I'm on the shade side, I will show you one window box. I'm not going to show you all of them, but they're consistently planted with the impatiens, the coleus with the color, the bokeh, which needs to be cut back. This is the time to give it a trim, and it'll bloom a little bit more for you. Here's another angle of our entry garden. You can see the blazing star Lateris up here, and the second flush of the petal pushers roses. They're from Jackson and Perkins. And then in the back, repetition on foxgloves that you saw in spring, and the coneflower now. So now we're back where we started. I hope you enjoyed the garden tour. I hope you learned that in every garden, it doesn't matter how experienced or inexperienced you are, gardens have their challenges, especially with Mother Nature. I hope I answered some questions for you as we went along the way. You learned something, and I hope you join us again and subscribe for our fall tour here at Old Castle Cottage. Have a great day.